Just for knowing that our colleagues, you and I are going to be here for the duration, are being pulled in a lot of different directions, I just want to defer to my friend who I have learned so much for, more than I have learned in any of my classes at Stanford. You should work at the Hoover Institution, my friend.
I appreciate your suggestion I should work at the Hoover Institution. And I'm
not trying to get you out of the Senate.
Senator Cruz is eager to second that motion.
I will say this, that Senator Booker, I think, has upstaged the ambassador on ass-kissery. And it's a damn fine demonstration.
Thank you for a deference to my diplomatic skills. I really appreciate that. You should teach a class there, not leave the Senate, of course, my esteemed colleague.
Thank you, Senator. I may wait for your questions nonetheless, and I'll take the opportunity to ask a couple of questions at the outset, if I might. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Ranking Member. 14 years ago, when I chaired this subcommittee with Johnny Isakson, we held an identical hearing. It was on the same subject. We issued a report afterwards. I could not agree with you more that Africa is the continent of the 21st century. When we held that hearing 14 years ago, 7 out of 10 of the fastest growing economies on earth were in Africa. And we said many of the same things. The framing is not that different. Critical minerals, enormous human resources, huge untapped potential, deep ties to Africa through the diaspora, and leader after leader, country after country that would rather have more U.S. engagement, U.S. investment, U.S. partnership than China. Despite what Senator Isakson and I and a number of others were able to do legislatively 10, 12, 14 years ago, China has exploded. If we had a chart behind me of China-Africa trade and U.S.-Africa trade, the lines have crossed and accelerated. As you pointed out in your testimony, China has found Africa and is all over the place. First, I think our embassy footprints across the continent are critical. Senator Durbin and I worked during the Obama administration to force the Department of Commerce to make sure foreign commercial service officers were deployed throughout the continent, not withdrawn, because market opportunities require foreign commercial service presence. I ratify your view that we need to strengthen private sector partnerships and public-private partnerships in our work with Africa. Can I ask you first, what are the plans of the State Department in terms of retaining or expanding our current embassy and consular footprint in order to help American businesses in healthcare and technology and farming and infrastructure have a stronger footprint across the continent?
Thank you, Senator. You actually raise a number of the issues that we discuss every day. And by the way, I would suggest that I wish 14 years ago we'd gotten very serious and made some of these changes then, because I think it would have been helpful, especially regarding the work that we actually need to do here in the United States regarding the actual processing of minerals so that we can be part of the overall supply chain. But as to your question, first, we have a pretty wide spread of embassies. Honestly, I believe...
I've got about 2.5 minutes, so
let me get faster.
To say we're shutting down 10, we're not shutting down 10, we're retaining a strong...
Not only do I not know of shutting anything down, I don't even know of any conversations about that.
Good.
And I know there were some documents floating around, but those were not real. And there aren't even any conversations on them.
My enthusiasm for a strong presence across the continent.
Yeah.
One of the things we did work hard on over many years was taking a small, underfunded, under-resourced entity called OPIC, the Overseas Private Investment Corporation, and turn it into the Development Finance Corporation. Senator Corker, then chair of Foreign Relations, and I co-authored the BUILD Act that created it. And I meet later today with President Trump's nominee, who I hope to support and work with. The DFC has critical potential to provide competitive financing. China's debt trap financing, which is often opaque, often accelerates corruption, typically does not serve the interests of the people or even the nations of Africa, has to have a side-by-side challenge from the U.S. and its partners. Yep. I've recently talked with leaders of the development finance institutes, or institutions, forgive me, of Japan, South Korea, Australia, Norway, the UK. They are eager to partner with the DFC, but it still lacks a few key legal fixes, equity investment in particular. The DFC played a key role in the last administration in the Lobito Corridor project that connects the Angolan Atlantic coast all the way in to the eastern DRC and potentially all the way into Rwanda. What's your sense of the importance of sustaining the Lobito Corridor project, because I understand it enjoys sustained support.
Yep.
And when I was last briefed on it, a key piece of it was the seemingly irrelevant humanitarian mission of demining. Angola has millions of unexploded mines, and it has prevented a lot of economic growth and opportunity. The Angolan government came forward when I last was there with, I think, a $60 million commitment of their own money to partner with us in demining. But I've lost the thread as all these different projects and contracts have been canceled. Does the administration support continuing with the Lobito Corridor infrastructure project and giving these countries of that region, Zaire, wow, sorry, Democratic Republic of the Congo, Zambia, Rwanda, and Angola, access to our markets, not just Chinese markets? And are you continuing the demining partnership with Angola?
Lobito is a tremendous success. We absolutely love it, and we're absolutely committed to its future. Indeed, I want to copy the model and do that elsewhere because it's been so successful, and especially thanks to DFC and their immediate action in there as the catalyst, which then allowed to bring in blended finance to make the project work. I worked on demining in Angola several years ago. I'm afraid I don't have the up-to-date information. I wasn't expecting that one, but I will find out if those programs continue. I know we have been supporting them, but I will find an answer to that and get that back to you, sir.
I'd welcome that. Let me reference three other things briefly, and then I'll recede and perhaps stay for another round, if I might. I've been working hard with other senators on things that try and address current issues. Senator Ricketts and I recently went to the Philippines to look at the status of the Luzon Corridor, also a DFC-led project. Countering Chinese efforts to secure naval bases or military bases around the world, I think, is a key part of our competition with China. Their first overseas naval base is in Djibouti. Their first overseas major military base, arguably, is in Djibouti. There have been repeated reports they are attempting to secure a base in Gabon. And Senator Ricketts and I have introduced the Counter Act, which is to require a strategy specifically focusing on sustaining broad-spectrum positive relationships with countries where we are at risk of having them agree to host a Chinese military facility. Do you think that's necessary? Do you think it's wise? What's your understanding of the current status of this issue?
I think it's absolutely necessary to compete against that notion. We want to have deep, complex, and positive relationships with all countries in Africa. But in particular, we make it clear to those countries that might be flirting with that kind of a relationship with China that they would be jeopardizing the ability to have that kind of relationship with us.
Last thing I'll reference is Senator Young and I have the Finding Ore Act, which is, as you probably well know, recognizes the reality that although there are abundant critical minerals across the continent, most of them are not adequately characterized. And so the unique American resource of the U.S. Geological Survey under this bill, if it became law, would be offered to countries as long as U.S. or U.S. partner companies got the right of first refusal. It would be a wise way to use an existing U.S. capability and resource to help countries around the world. Earlier today, a bipartisan group of senators met with the Ukrainians. The Ukrainians have recently inked a critical minerals deal with the Trump administration. But most of the maps of where their minerals are date back to the Soviet era. We have the capacity to help characterize where they are and to make sure that our companies and our partner and allied countries benefit as a result. Do you think that's a worthwhile effort?
Thank you very much for stressing it. Absolutely right. The appetite amongst professionals to engage with the U.S. Geological Survey is near infinite. They are the best respected entity of its type in the world. And their work across the African continent is well respected, and I get regular requests for engagement with them. I would look favorably and with great expectation to have greater attention from the U.S. Geological Survey on the African continent.
I'd love to work with you on that and on both of these pieces of legislation, and I apologize because I have overstayed my welcome quite a bit. I have a few more questions if and when we have a second round. Thank you.